What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my damn ass. Like and subscribe. So, I did something today that I usually don't do, but I think I'm going to start doing more of. And that is listening to Pony's videos. Particular Pony. Two, actually. Well, two shows. One was Porter Rock, 77. I'll talk about him first. The second one was the Kind of Funny. Both of these pertaining to Concord. Porter Rock is more generally speaking about the business side. And the Kind of Funny was they were just talking about Concord, blah, blah, blah. Right. So Porter Rock first. Porter Rock's a pony. He's a donkey unicorn, no doubt. But he does give Sony the heat. Although, I would say, it isn't really the heat. It's really just an excuse. It's really a reason why Concord failed. Not because it's kind of not the best game. Not because it launched into a crowd of better offerings. Not because of, charge $40 and nobody else is for better games. Not because of that. Porter Rock said, it's because we did not ask for this. We didn't ask for games as a service. We didn't ask for this. What are you doing? We didn't ask for this. I'm like, okay. And so he goes on to not explain, but proclaim that, Sony, PlayStation should be doing the single player games. That's what made PlayStation great in the first place. At the PlayStation 4 generation, those are the games that made it great. And I'm like, that was part of it. The other part, which of course he didn't mention, is that Xbox literally handed that generation over. They said, you know what? We're going to screw it all up. Nobody's going to want to buy an Xbox because we're telling them all kind of stupid things. And yeah, that's what it's going to be. Let's make it weaker. Let's do this. Let's do that. Like if the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X launched instead of the VCR, it would have been a totally different story, right? But anyway, it was about the power narrative back then, and it was about the exclusives because Xbox really didn't have too many. Things have changed, of course. But he kept kind of saying, yeah, PS3 generation was horrible. Yes, it was horrible. And I'm glad he admitted that. They lost money on that generation, so they made it back up in PlayStation 4. Yada, 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 yada. But the point is that he is not pointing out the reasons why Concord is not succeeding on PC. We're not talking about PlayStation 5. We don't even know the numbers on PlayStation 5. I think they're so ashamed at the numbers on PC that if they show us the numbers on PlayStation 5, they'd be like, wow, nobody bought this. I'm not going to reiterate what I did on the last episode. I'm just saying. And so he's sitting here talking about, we didn't ask for this. We didn't ask for games as a service. We want those single player games, those bangers that made Sony number one, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, first of all, that's not how this works, this industry works. Second of all, if you make a good game in whatever genre and people like it, people will play it. It's not about subjectivity. It's a good game that people like and people will play. Period. And guess what Concord is? Not. It is not a good game that people like and people will play. Period. That's it. Don't give me no excuses about this. This is not what we want. First of all, he's saying this is not what we want, right? Meanwhile, we're looking at Steam numbers. We're not looking at PlayStation. We're looking at Steam numbers. What do PC gamers want? Not Concord, because it's hot trash. So if the Steam players are like, yo, this is hot trash, the game is hot trash. There's no there's a bias towards PC, but there's no bias against, I guess there's a bias against PlayStation. But in that respect, they're not saying, oh, we're not going to play this game because it's a PlayStation game. They say, we're not going to play this game because A, is $40, and B, is hot trash. That's why. So, Porter Rock, I give him a half a prop for, mentioning the ills of PlayStation. And I give him another prop for trying to bring the heat to PlayStation. But it was just wrong. He's saying the wrong stuff. He's trying to say, trying to blame PlayStation and Sony for making a garbage game that nobody wanted, or what the PlayStation players didn't want. In reality, nobody wants it because it's not that good of a game, and it's really about the environment in which the game is launched. And I always said this: look, they dug their own grave when they put Marvel Rivals after Concord in that state of play. I was like, y'all know that nobody can remember what was in the beginning. I mean, they can, but the hot sauce dude, that's it. I heard they're talking about on Kind of Funny. It's like, yeah, the hot sauce dude. I told you, Lennox, that's his name. I was like, I guess that's a funny, good thing, but nobody cares. And they were going in on, anyway, Porter Rock is foolish. He's trying to make an argument for something, which is no. And it's like, the vocal minority over at PlayStation, those little ponies and ducking unicorns, don't want a game like Concord, right? Okay, that's fine. What percentage of that is of the 50 million PlayStation players? Is that like 1 million of you guys? That's it? They don't care. They're like, there are not enough of you to even humor anything you say, Porter Rock. They're like, no, we don't. What? Guess what? We want to make money. It is so, I don't know why these ponies and donkey unicorns they're trying to, craft narratives and craft these scenarios and create this fantasy land in which PlayStation is not going to do exactly what Xbox is doing right now. The difference is Xbox is doing it now. People, and they're getting the heat for it. A lot of pony bots, a lot of bots, they're upset and crying, and I'm like, y'all are just wasting your tears. Because I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'll say it to the last day. As long as the video games keep coming, as long as Sega's still around, as long as Xbox is still making games, I'm good. Fable, let's go. Forza Horizon, let's go. I don't care where they go. I don't care where you play it on. You can play it on your toaster, on your refrigerator. Doesn't matter. As long as Xbox is making them. It's a bonus that is exclusive for a little bit of time. That's a bonus. So that's cool. But what the idea of being upset that someone else gets to play with your toys. Not even your specific toy. Just, it's available for you too. You could play it too. And you get mad at that. Think about that. You're like, I got this new, I heard Eminem's new album. It's like, yeah, everybody heard it's on Spotify. Man, that's not right. Like getting upset for, let everybody enjoy everything. The fact that it's exclusive for a little bit, there you go. That's gonna start to sting a little bit more and more. People don't realize. I know I said in the last video, but 6 month exclusive on a single player game like that. That's a long time. Now, like multiplayer games, then they probably won't do that. But anyway, Concord. Let's get back to Concord. So the numbers are still low, 600 or whatever. And I was listening to Kind of Funny, and it's work listening to those shows because, well, especially Kind of Funny because Greg Miller, he's special. He's special. I used to like him because he was ridiculous. Now I dislike him because he's ridiculous. If he understands, because you know his shtick, and you're like, it feels like you're trying real hard to please everyone. And my worry about that is Robin Williams was the same way. He was a really emotional and depressed person, and he ended it. And in the end, he ended it for himself, not because I think he had I think he was down, or he was diagnosed with Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or Alzheimer's, or maybe both, or one or two, I can't remember. And so, you know, he ended up taking his own life, rest in peace. And, you know, you see people with big personalities tend to have problems, emotional problems. Now, I don't wish that upon Greg, obviously, you know, but I just wish that he would take less coffee, smoke less crack. I don't know what he's doing, but just, you know, just woosah a little bit, do a little meditation, just like, bring it down a little bit. I understand it's, you know, some of it's an act and all that stuff, but it does get tiring. Especially when he goes in on PC and he says some ridiculous stuff. And you know, some of the stuff, yeah, okay, I'll chuckle at it maybe, but it really is a bombardment. And well, anyway, this isn't the Greg Miller, talk about Greg Miller show. This is about kind of funny talking up and down Concord. Wow. Okay, so they went around the horn, blah, blah, blah. It was Blessing, Mike, Stonebuck Mike, Greg, and the last guy that I never remember his name. And I'll give you the scores real quick. Let's see. Blessing gave it a 7. Snowbike Mike and the other dude I can't remember gave it a 7.5. And I believe the Metacritic score is at a 68 right now. That's a Sony game. That's a banger. I mean, the last video, my title, Concord, is the opposite of a banger. And I'm just pointing out the obvious. I'm not making up stories. I'm not accentuating. I'm not exaggerating, hyperbolizing. That's not a word. I'm just saying that. Anyway, so they say, oh, I had a lot of fun. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. And then they go on to like, okay, it needs this, it needs that, it needs. I wish you could do this so you could build to a better mode because it's only got 6 modes, but it's really 5 modes, and blah blah blah. And then Blessing don't care. Blessing was like, yo, when the cutscene, the little vignettes came, I skipped those, skip. He's like, I don't care about the characters, I don't care about the story, I don't care about none of that. I was like, damn. It's like how much of the budget is going towards that stuff. Blessing was like, skip. And I'm like, all right. I've heard that, yeah, I mean, just by looking at it, I was like, I don't like any of these characters. You know when you see something, right? Like when I first saw Overwatch, I was like, oh, okay, that looks cool. And I saw the first vignette or whatever, little cutscene thing with Winston and the space station and I was like, oh, okay, Gorilla, little dude. Like the animation is really good, the character design really cool. And then they kept giving you more. They give you the Widowmaker one, and then the, what's her face? And I was like, yo, I'm going to just watch these because this is really good. And I played, like, I don't know, I played a little bit of Overwatch, but not a lot. Because, you know, I don't really care about games like that. Only because, I mean, the characters are better than Concord, but, like, Marvel Rivals is going to be probably the best because we are familiar with those characters. Excuse me. I think DC should make a DC Rivals. Y'all know the idea. You saw the idea popped in your head same time it popped in my head. Okay, so Marvel Rivals, right? They make their game. What if they say, all right, they go to DC, yo, what's up? They make DC Rivals. Same engine, same everything. Just swap the characters out, right? Then it's Marvel vs. DC Rivals. Come on, son, that'd be nice. We having Batman up in there playing, shooting Spider-Man, Superman, flying around. You know what I'm saying. I mean, yeah, they have, you know, Injustice, but that's not the same. It's not the same. Anyway, Concord. So, yeah, at no point was anyone there liking or talking good about the story elements or the characters of Concord. Nobody cares about the characters. Nobody cares about the story. And also, how they give you kind of lore was, I think there was like some sort of like galaxy map, kind of similar to Mass Effect. And they said, oh, this is cool. And then you press it, and then a wall of text come up. And they're like, I'm not reading this. And And so I'm like, yeah, that's a problem. It's that, and they were talking about some of the systems that were interesting, but they had a bunch of problems with, lack of modes and all this stuff, and I think a lot of it really is the characters are not likable. That's in any type of form of media, really. If you're looking at movies, if you're looking at anime, you're looking at anything that you watch with your eyes that have fictional characters that try and tell a story. If you don't like the characters, you don't care. And that's what's happening to Concord. No one cares. I mean, really no one cares. And then on top of that, Sony had the balls to try to charge $40. Now, $40 is not a lot of money. I would say, even the people on there, Greg asked them all, is it worth $40? Is it worth $40? Is it worth $40? And they all said yes. Now, I will say that part of their attitude and answers are kind of guided and swayed by the fact that Sony still represents 40% of their revenue in ads as far as IGN goes. I mean, I'm sorry. See, now I'm conflating two companies because they're basically the same. But anyway, I take that back. I rescind it because that's wrong. They're not IGN. They're kind of funny. But they're ponies, so they're gonna cap for Sony, and they're not getting paid for it. It's funny. Wow. Anyway, so I think kind of funny, kind of went downhill because they merged all their podcasts, their separated podcasts into one. Now it's just a kind of funny whatever show. They used to have the XCast and they had the PS I Love You separated. Now it's all together and it's like whatever. There's Snow Bike, and then there's the rest of ponies. Maybe not. But the Concord, they're trying to say, look, if it doesn't go free to play, it's doomed. If it doesn't go on the PS Plus soon, it's doomed. And I'm like, it's already doomed. Even if it goes free to play, there's no way it's gonna, because nobody likes the game. Nobody likes it. Like I said before in the last video, there are plenty of people in my comments saying that game is good, it performs good, blah, blah, blah. Oh no, that's Wukong. Was that Wukong or Concord? No, Concord is trash. I don't think they were talking about Concord. They were talking about Wukong, because I said Wukong performed really bad on was trash on PlayStation 5, and it's true compared to the PC. Look at the side by side, man. Muddy textures, and it had some over sharpening thing. Anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Concord. Yeah, Concord. Look, I heard, who was it that said Sony? It was Jay Wood. I listened to Jay Wood's video, and he said Sony does not know what they're doing when it comes to games as service. They don't know what they're doing when it comes to multiplayer games. I've said this time and time again. Every single game they put out fails, except for GT7. Like I said last video, it was grandfathered in, and Helldivers 2 was successful until they screwed it up. Like I said, I mean, I'm repeating myself at this point, but the point is that, like, they bought Bungie in order to try to be better at these type of games. That's not working, and I'm like, okay, I don't understand. A $1 billion company cannot hire a team. Doesn't have to be a giant team. It could be 5 people. Or it could be one really smart person. To go in, analyze, study, research. What do you need to do to make a game? Also, don't take 8 years. I didn't say this in the last, I don't think I said it. 8 years for Concord. And this is what we get. And this is 600 people playing. Come on. I'm like, yo, that's ridiculous. That's why I'm like, look, there has to be a single player. There has to be a single player game. 8 years. There has to be a single player game that they're just not putting out. It has to be like a surprise. Like, surprise, single player campaign for Concord coming out tomorrow. So like, it's free if you bought the $40 version. Look, if they do that, then I'm like, all right, well, yeah, okay, that was their plan. They trying to be sneaky or whatever, surprise video game or something. But if that's not the plan, and they spent 8 years on Concord, and it came out like how it did, and it's kind of not the best, like, how do you make something for 8 years and it's like how many people made this game? That's one of my questions. Like, how big is the team? Because honestly, like, we're a team of 3, and it's taking us a long time, but because we're only 3 people. But anyway, whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm sorry. Let me know what y'all think about in the comments below about Porter Rock talking shite. You think he's talking, but he's not really talking. He's saying things that are imaginary, like, oh, we didn't ask for that. I'm like, look, it ain't about what you're asking for. It's about what the industry needs. It's about what the company needs. Money, for the most part. And they're not making the things that make enough money. So they're trying to make the things that make that money, and they're bad at it. If you're bad at something that you need to do, you need to GG. So Sony need to GG on those games or something, you know. They should have bought. They should have bought ABK. They couldn't afford it though, so that's their bad. If Sony could have bought ABK, they would have bought them. Instead, they got Bungie, the welfare ABK, the no frills ABK, and it's showing. It's making Sony go into no frillsness. It's making them go into welfareness. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. Let me know in the comments below about all those things. Concord, still garbage. Wow. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Till the weed.